As an American, a lot of us like to pretend that we know what's going on in the Middle East when many of us don't. We don't have any clue because we don't live there. And I wish Americans would stop and think for a second. You don't know what other people are going through because you do not reside there. Now, if you are an Israeli, if you are a Palestinian, if you are from the Middle East, then you have a seat at the table to have a discussion about this. And that's something I urge a lot of Americans to do. Take a break and understand. You don't know anything and you don't have all the answers. So sit back, understand that you don't have a place at the table. It's not your battle to fight. And that you need to leave the shit alone and let people who know what's going on there deal with it. Because here's what the news media does very well. This is an article I just wanted to print, but I'll read it to you. It says Hamas, a militant group that has controlled the densely populated Gaza Strip since 2006, has said the aim of the attack was to free Palestine prisoners, stop Israeli aggression, and to break the siege on Gaza. Israel the same day declared war on Hamas. Now, if you guys remember that interview with Benjamin Netanyahu, so anytime I hear emergency government, I get terrified because it just means that they're going to hand over control to some people and you're never going to get that control back. Now, I'm sure Israeli people, they want to make sure their people are protected. So they listen to this man. For what? I don't know. He's a warmonger. Okay. Benjamin Netanyahu forged an emergency government Wednesday to direct war against Hamas, and his defense minister vowed to wipe Palestinian militant group off the face of the earth. Okay, now we know that this was a deadly attack, all right? But I want you guys to pinpoint back to what we've known from the Israeli government. Benjamin Netanyahu knows how to play the game of war, all right? Some people need to be sacrificed in order for others to be spared. Some people need to be handed over in order to have a cause to create other, conflicts and other issues. Now you say, well, how can the place that has the Iron Dome, all right, that can thwart off missiles, all right, by the dozens, let this happen? So that's one of the first things I have questions about. I don't buy for a minute that he didn't allow this to happen. I have to tell you, it's just like January 6th. They allowed that to happen. It was allowed by our government for that to happen. All right. Because if they really wanted to, they would have had more people there, more police on hand, and none of this stuff would have happened. Now, we know Hamas they're not fun. All right. They're out to get you. But think about what's been happening in that region for so long, the kind of oppression Palestinians have been feeling, the kind of being put under a thumb. That imagine having your home taken away from you and you pushed off into the outskirts of someplace you don't want to be. People that claim to have your best interests at heart, that cut off your water, that do all sorts of evil things. And don't let the media fool you. They will try to make you believe that none of that stuff is happening. But if you go live on TikTok and you see what other people are living through and what they're dealing with over there and what their families are saying out of their own mouths, you will understand that the propaganda that the news media give you is total garbage. I'd like to also point out Benjamin Netanyahu said he served as the prime minister of Israel. He first became prime minister in 1996, and he held that position in various terms over the years. His terms in office were from like 1996 to 1999. Then he served another term in 2009 to 2021. My gosh. Then 2021 to now, fast forward to now. All right. He has served as Israel's prime minister for 17 years. And of course, we have the idiots in our capital saying things like, we will support Israel no matter what. Our support for them, as this article states here from NBC, is that our support is ironclad. First of all, I side with humanity. And if a country is killing people, why would my support for them be ironclad? So you're telling me basically, Nancy Pelosi, if they kill a bunch of people, you still would support them. That's what ironclad means. It means it's not budging, no matter what. And I love this article on The Hill. Pelosi at AIPAC. We will never allow anyone to make Israel a wedge issue. I think a lot of people forget that Israel runs everything. Israel meaning the Zionist Jewish people run everything. They run Hollywood. They run our government. They run our shadow governments. They run everything. Don't get it twisted. All right. So this war is more a war of control and power. And that's the reason why our government has sided with Ukraine versus Russia, because we have a division going on right now. There's pacts being formed. All right. There's China and Russia and all of the BRICS nations, which I have to admit, communism is not good. I mean, I don't want to live under a socialist regime. I don't want to live under a communist regime, but that's neither here nor there. The fact remains is there's a war of not just religious ideologies, but also a war of economic and political beliefs, right? And ideologies. So when we look at all of that that's happening, hey, we're setting the stage right now. This is all setting the stage for World War III, which is not too far away. And I've told you guys in other videos, 5 years, but this is starting to look like 2 to 3 years that we'll be down that line. I don't think we're there yet, because you have so much pushback. You have so many Americans calling for peace. You have other people in other countries calling for peace, like Spain, calling for tough sanctions on Israel. And that's going to look bad on Spain, but I actually agree with them. It says Pedro Sanchez of the Socialist Party called to suspend Spain's relationship with Israel, as well as for urgent economic sanctions to be applied by the European Union. I mean, it's not hard to see that people are turning their backs on America. All right. These are people at the UN that turned their backs on this woman speaker for the US. All right. So we're at this area in our life where we're going to have to all pick a side. We're all going to have to say what we align with. Do we align with Israel, despite whatever they're doing? All right. Do we align with Palestine and for the people there that have been continually oppressed? Because we see people leaving jobs, like this person, Josh Paul, who spent a decade in the State Bureau overseeing arms sales, exclusively spoke with Huffington Post after quitting over the U.S. approach to the Israel-Palestine conflict. Yeah, he quit. I think many of us need to take a page. Or journalists deciding they're not going to do the work of evil. This morning, I submitted my resignation from the BBC as required by my professional conscience. Wow, there's people still out there that have conscience. Sounds nice, doesn't it? Spain's Prime Minister of Social Rights calling on the Spanish government to cut ties with Israel and impose sanctions. Yeah, and they called it genocide here in this article. Genocide on the Gaza people. So, while America continues to funnel money over to Benjamin Netanyahu to do whatever he wants, you guys need to decide who you want to side with. Because after watching many people that are Palestinian talk, I'm starting to seriously doubt that we're on the right side by supporting Israel. And I definitely expect to see more of these type of displays. It's all over the internet, and it's prevalent that we don't want war anymore. We're tired of war. We want peace. We're tired. We are exhausted. We're tired of fighting other people's battles. And we're tired of all the freaking warmongering that our military industrial complex pushes on us. We want to use our tax dollars to build our schools, to help our children, to help our families, to help those less fortunate in our own communities. Why do we need to constantly put our hand into other things? Oh, I see. To make certain people richer and to give them more control. Remember, all of this is about control, money, and power.